Okay, so we're now live on YouTube. And for today's session, we're going to look at, understand how to manage a cyber attack. So from our indicative content, we're going to analyze the steps to take when there are indicators of a cyber attack, explain the communication methods used to inform stakeholders of a potential actual cyber attack, examine the process of completing a root cause analysis, evaluate changes in cybersecurity working practice as a result of findings. So from the first learning outcome, we're aiming to understand how we can spot a potential cyber attack within the organization. So as we all seen from the previous tutorials, there are several sophisticated cyber attacks, such as exploitation, man in the middle, or through malware or DOS, denial of service attacks. So some of the ways to spot that we're going on the cyber attack, or there is a potential cyber attack, goes by, for instance, slow network traffic. So within the organization, we can now see that the data that are going through within the server, going through the servers, are taking longer than usual. So this attack, we already looked into it, where we know is a denial of service, and which makes all the users slow to execute and share information within the organization. Also, another way to spot this is unusual password activity, where we can see that these attackers might be attempting to guess the password, and this unusual activity might be reported. Also, there are a large number of outgoing emails, which are where they often use a breached system to send out large numbers of phishing emails, or even spam emails from the company server. And this will, in this case, the network or the email administrator will notice this unusual activity of email that have been sent out, and that's how we can also spot a potential cyber attack. Also, there is a substantial rise in database read volume, where these attackers have gained access to databases, database management system, for instance, and they can now see personal data, and they can also target specific users. So whenever we spot one of these features, we then now have to create a defensive plan. So by creating this defensive plan, we now have to have several stages where we're going to prepare. We're going to plan how we can protect from this attack, detect and analyze what has been done, how the attack has been conducted, and what the damages, and also contain, eradicate, and recovery phase, where, as we can see, developing containment strategy, identify and mitigating the host and system on the attack, and then we have to plan a recovery system. And conclusively, we're going to look into the post-incident activity, where you have to review what has happened and know how to improve and take this further. Also, really important stages that has to be done is assemble the team, where the right people, the right cybersecurity specialists has to work together, put their own knowledge in order for the company to absorb and limitate the damages that have been happening by the cyber attack. Also, it's really important to detect and ascertain the source. So, depending on what type of cyber attack has been carried out, it is really important to go down to the root and find the source of the attack. And looking into the life cycle, which we have already explained, so how to retain and also how to recover. So these two stages are really important, where we have to be able to absorb and minimize the damages as much as possible, and also be really quickly recover and come back to full functionality. Also, we spoke about how we have to analyze the damages and see how the level of severity of the damage. Now we're going to explain the communication methods used to inform stakeholders and potential or actual cyber attack. So, as we all know, within the company, there are loads of stakeholders, or maybe even shareholders within the organization. So it's really important that every member is aware of what happened, and we need to choose the right way to inform them, depending on their role within the organization. So when IT systems goes down in organization, need to be able to communicate with the employees and coordinate an effective response. Therefore, the longer this process takes, and the bigger impact crisis will have to the financial and revenue of the company. So you have to plan what to do when a cyber attacks occurs is really important. As we can see, the successful cyber attacks can affect multiple communication methods. So, for instance, they can compromise phone and voicemail systems, where the loss of company phone call system might really affect them, where some log calls, phone numbers, or other activity might end up in the hand of bad people. And if the company website is posted in-house, and it might go down, which will mean that the customer, employees, and general public media cannot be found. And also, if the whole network is compromised, every computer-based and standalone machine with no access to company records. So it is really important to know how the infrastructure might be impacted by the loss of data. due to a cyber attack. Also, coming back to the stakeholders way of communication, there are several departments which are involved. So there are the C-level executive, which includes CEO, chief executive, and all the high roles within the organization. Then there are media relation department, which the main role is to ensure strategic messaging is in place when informing customer about incident and handling inquiries on the process. So whenever, for example, if we take a massive company like EasyJet, which we all know has been subject to cyber attack, where loads of data was lost and loads of money as well were steal by these attackers. This is where media relation department has to come into place and do the work in order to maintain the situation under control and inform everyone, like from banks to customers and all the stakeholders involved about the cyber attack. And they are really vital because they have to gather this information and share it with the most effective way in order to not create more panic and increase the problem. Also, there are customer service which need to be informed to prepare for income customer inquiries. And then there are employees which must be kept up to date throughout the process to ensure that they are prepared for calls from customer and all this process. And also there are customers which are involved in this type of data communication, where organizations are legally obtained to inform customer of the data breach. So the ability to communicate with customer and mesh in real time, it is important. So customers, whenever they lose their data or something happen, they have the legal right to be informed from the company regarding the data breach. Also, now we look into the principles of this communication, so that this information cannot be shared. They have to be shared in a certain way in order for the customer to understand what is really happening. So as we can see, preserve the company's credibility with all continuities is really important. And then we have to maintain up the communication process so the company speaks with one voice. And therefore, when a company has to speak with one voice, it means that the specific department has to be in charge and has to deliver all the information. This is where the media relations department has to come into place in order for the company to deliver the message and keep everything under control. Also, they have to provide pertinent, confirmed facts where they cannot share or not related information to the customer. They have to stick to how the process is going, how it's going to be fixed, and how long it will take. So you have to give concrete and solid facts. Also, they have to coordinate or public communication with legal counsel. So some of the best practice of communication could be follow state notification protocol. So by following this protocol, it has its own law about who must be alerted in the event of cyber attack. For instance, could be government agencies or individual impacted, individual subjects. Know the data breach notification law in the statement, and all the protocols that have to be considered when this breach happens. Also, there's unit, where in a challenging moment, unity matters more than ever. So when there are these situations that occurs, the organization has to work as a single entity in order to keep everything under control. Also, best practice could be transparent, to be as transparent as possible. So we all know that the information has been leaked, and in order for them to not lose as much revenue, as much profit as possible, it's best to be transparent and let the customer knows everything about the process and how what are the damages and how they've been impacted, and also how it's going to be fixed. And then we have to educate where the situation can be an educational opportunity where you can raise more awareness of cyber attack and understand how this has been done, and also see whether, and also gain more skills in order for them to prevent from future threats. Or other best practice of communications are also a start of dialogue, where cyber attacks are universal threat. They use organizational experience as an opportunity to raise awareness and start a larger solution confused conversation. Now we're going to examine the process of completing a root cause analysis. So by root cause analysis, we are simply going to focus on the root of the cyber attack. So we're going to conduct several analyses to understand how this happened. So where our first stage will be define the problem. So at the root, we're going at the root to understand how this has been happening. On the second stage, you're going to determine the causal relationship. So we're going to allocate all the entities and create a possible diagram in order to establish how these entities are correlated to each other. Then we're going to identify effective solutions. You have to come up with the best idea in order to patch and fix the leak. And conclusively, on the stage 4, we're going to implement and track the solution. So when it comes to application of root cause analysis for cybersecurity, we have to look into how organizations should try its best to apply a root cause analysis at all the time. therefore, we know there are loads of benefits by using this, and these benefits might be on a long-term vision, whereby implementing this application will prevent future attacks. Also, you have to check into the performance, where with the performance you can now define the event, and we might want to consider having an action team that can carry out the root analysis, cause analysis, which will be the true first step. So this root analysis must give some answers to several questions, such as what happened, how did this attack occurred, when was this occurred, and what system was involved. Also, how it is contained, and what are the impact to the information system of the organization. So this initial assessment has to give clear answer regarding these questions. After we have completed the initial assessment, you now have to find the cause. So what was the weakness of the software, and how did this has been attacked and compromised. Then, after finding the causes, you're now looking to finding the root cause. So, which is the step that focus on delivering and on uncovering. So, using a process known as a 5 why is a common approach to cause and effect, where from the problem statement you can now bring the process. So these are the 5 whys that has to be answered in order for us to find the root cause. So if we look into them, it will legitimate connection true. Second why, for example, it deactivates during certain time of period. The third one, it doesn't recognize the company organization system. Fourth one, it has not undergone software updates. And fifth, it blocks internet communication. So these 5 whys could be good answers in order to understand what was the cause, what was the root cause. Also, you have to find solution in order to move forward and implement a new software. So common technologies for brainstorming could be interviewing, running diagnostic tools when the root cause is found, checking forums and messaging board to common solution to know the problems. Also, you have to look into taking actions. By taking actions, now you have to implement a variety of things, such as rebooting parts of the affected system, updating the software, patching vulnerabilities, and also we have to generating audit reports. So these are really good actions that can be taken in order to fix the softwares. Also, there is also for good performing root cause, we can look into verify solution and effectiveness, which is the final step. And this is where the root cause analysis is to see if the solution actually works, and see if by implementing these actions, we can now ensure that the program is, that the company is back to full functionality, and you also ensure that there are no critical eyes active. So now we come into our final learning outcome, where we're going to evaluate changes in cybersecurity working practice as a result of findings. So these changes might be related to policy consideration, where now we have now finally observed the attack, and there are loads of legal process which has to go through, and the new policies has to keep a higher level of security. So as you can see, security policies keeps getting formulated and implemented in the top-down cookies control manner, where now new policies has to be generated and has to be updated for not just for the shareholders, the stakeholders, but also within any entity that's related to the organization. Then also you have to look into risk and resilience, where corporate risk and resiliency planning are important for organization to be able to bounce back from disruptions, and those retaining stakeholders' confidence. So you have to understand and identify potential adverse events in a computerized network. It is important for planning and implementing resilient mechanism to defend. Also detect and remediate from any type of threats. Also, other changes that might occur are due to governance, where it has told the core of any successful cybersecurity program. As we can see, it is important aspect which requires consideration for the policy, best practice, ethics, legality, personnel, technique, compliance, auditing, and awareness, whereby having a weak governance is often considered to be the cause of organizational crisis. So this is a really crucial step, and when implementing changes to governance, it is really important to build some robust and security governance. So we already looked into key organizational policies in the previous tutorials. And here the image just shows the need of comprehensive cyber risk management. So this was everything for today's session. Is there any question for me?
No, Victor. Thank you. Okay. No questions.
Okay, thank you very much for joining. Then I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.